Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, AFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 266 of the Armchair Fantasy Show, of course, presented by the Going for Two Live Podcast Network. I am your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are live here every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, on all major podcast networks, and we're in the Going for Two app for iOS and Android. I apologize for the technical issues, getting a little bit of a late start, having some internet issues over here, but we seem to be working okay now. I'm going to introduce my co-host first, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. You can follow him on Twitter at Foss534. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, not much, man. Just kind of ready to get into it. Excited for another good show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We always seem to have our best shows whenever we run late or some issues happen, it seems.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It happens
and
a lot.
Somehow I always get blamed for it, and it's never me.
it's sometimes you. Sometimes
it's never once been me.
Fair.
In 200 some episodes, never been me.
All right, and our guest tonight, he is the host of the Fantasy Coaches podcast and writer for Dynasty Nerds. Mr. Steve Pintado. Is that how you pronounce the last name?
Yep, that's right. What's going on, boys?
Good job, man. Jeff.
I know, right? I got one right for once.
People mess my name up quite often, so I appreciate the correct pronunciation of it.
Good deal. So I got your Twitter handle is @CoachesFantasy, but you also have a personal Twitter account too. Did you want to give that one out?
Yeah, I'll just shout that out real quick. It's Coach Stephen P. Pretty simple there, so
good deal.
Both of them pretty often.
So if you want to just give us a quick rundown on what it is you do in the fantasy community and obviously plug your podcast and when we can find it at.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So like I said, I'm a host of the Fantasy Coaches podcast, created that whole podcast and little bit network we got going on there. We do a little bit of redraft for Dynasty, kind of a mixture of both, kind of a lot of different takes that we like to kind of talk about. We kind of use our code name coaches. So everyone on our team is a coach. You could check our website out at www.thefantasycoaches.com. And I also write for Dynasty Nerds too. I do a lot of Dynasty content over there, written wise, and you can always check that out at dynastynerds.com. So that's me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So we got a jam-packed show tonight. We're going to do mostly wide receivers tonight. We'll have our news and notes section, and then we'll just talk wide receivers. And then next week we'll do all running backs. Let's go ahead and jump into the 5 101s.
And now, the 5 101s.
All right, so this is how this works. 5 non-football related categories. You can give us your 101 of these, Steve. So the first one here is your 101 duo.
This one was tough. It was like went in a lot of different directions there. But I was thinking 101. I'm thinking like power strength, something that I could, use for any occasion there. And the duo I went with is Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. Nice. Just two powerful, alien Saiyans that I think on almost any occasion could help me win no matter what. So
good stuff. I like it. 101 fictional character you'd want to meet in real life.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Iron Man. To me, when it comes to Iron Man, it's just cool. He's a cool guy. I mean, you would go out to a drink with him, it's probably a good time. Probably show you some, tech stuff. Maybe make you a suit. I mean, can't really go wrong with that. I mean, who doesn't want to have an Iron Man suit hanging around their house?
Yeah, exactly. That would be pretty awesome. Good one. I like it. This one's a new one for us. So Ryan, I'm gonna go to you on this one too and get yours, but let me go to Steve first. Your 101.
I didn't know I was going to guess anything.
You weren't prepared for it.
No.
You on the spot.
I'll bring this up for next week. I'm going to think of it.
All right.
I might even bring a sample.
All right, sounds good. 101 intro music, Steven.
It's got to be Headlines by Drake. Just like the way the beats throughout the entire song, it just keeps you hype and keeps you consistently great the entire way through it. And through an intro song, it's just too easy to pass.
Nice. I think on the next time I'm gonna have it queued up. I'm gonna ask you ahead of time, and I'm gonna have that thing queued up so I can play a little intro of it.
I will say, in high school baseball, I had "Hate Me Now" by Diddy before I came out to the bat. So I guess that could be the answer. I'll stick with it.
Nice, good stuff. All right, your 101 superpower, if you could have one.
Man, this one was pretty hard. I feel like I could have went a lot of different directions here, but again, I wanted to hang out with Iron Man so I could have the suit so I could fly around basically. So I have to be flying. I mean, you can do almost anything flying, and I hate driving, so
Just avoid the traffic.
Exactly.
It'd be a coolest way to get to work. You just fly to work.
You won't have to work.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to work, I suppose, if you could fly. All right, last one. 101 item on your bucket list.
Oh man, this one was pretty tough. Honestly, I couldn't really think about. I guess I don't have a good bucket list, but I've been meaning to, and I always wanted to. Half my family is Ecuadorian, and I would love to go to Ecuador at some point in my life. I haven't had an opportunity. I've had probably opportunities, but I really haven't had the time in my life to really make it out there. And I'd love to just go see the country and the culture and visit family that I have living out there. So I would say that'd be my 101 right now.
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's get to some football stuff now.
News and notes from around the league.
News and notes, as always, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. It's fantasy football with no waivers, no setting lineups, no worrying about injuries. It's best ball leagues. You get to do the fun part, and that's draft. It's like a mock draft you can win money from. Download the Underdog Fantasy app on iOS and Android and use our promo code GF2 to get 100% deposit match up to $100. For as low as $3, you can join one of our Going for Two leagues, or you can get one of the other contests in the lobby, including their Best Ball Mania 3 contest with over $10 million in prizes. I think it's $2 million to first. All you got to do is get the app, use promo code GF2, and then get your deposit match up to $100. All right, so we actually have some decent amount of news that we can talk about. Nothing groundbreaking, of course, because it's that time of year where we're not getting a whole lot of information. But the first one here, I want to go to you first, Ryan. So I know you like this guy a lot. You like him coming out of college, and you still like him. But Cam Akers, obviously he's 100% in camp. But if you read the actual note too, it says he's also going to be involved in the passing game a little bit more as well. What are your thoughts on Akers? Quote unquote, being 100%, and then if he's in the passing game, are you raising up your ranks?
There's no way he was 100% last year. Like, that was the most rushed back from an injury ever. And the fact that they still forced him with all the carries when he was coming off the injury that quickly, I have faith there. Him in the passing game, I believe it because at Florida State, he caught 30 balls his junior year. He caught 23 the year before. Like, he was active in the receiving game, and he had 7 receiving touchdowns. Like, he's good at it. They can split him wide. If he's involved in it, that's big. And we know Matt Stafford likes to go to the running backs. Yeah, you have to move him up at least a little bit. I don't know exactly how far, but if that's the case, you really have to upgrade the rankings.
Yeah, that's a good call. What about you, Steven? What are your thoughts on Cam Akers in general? What do you think of this news?
So I was never really a huge fan of Cam Akers coming out of college, or even honestly in the last 2 years now. I mean, it's great to hear because obviously we want to have him 100%. He has a clear opportunity, and I always love to talk about opportunity. He has a clear opportunity to obviously lead this backfield that he did his rookie season. So the biggest thing is that injury. I know he wasn't 100%, and people are taking that like last year's game a lot, which they shouldn't probably take that too much there because he was rushed back, like Ryan said. And coming back to this year, he should be obviously better. We don't know how that torn Achilles is going to go through a whole 17-game season. If he's going to see this bigger workload, I don't know how long that's going to hold up. I mean, it's optimistic, and I have him probably as a top 15 RB, probably a high-end RB2, but I want to see it on the field. I don't want to know he's healthy at this moment. I want to know he's healthy, but I want to see it on the field first.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good call. You definitely want to see it first. I don't even know if we'll see him in the preseason either. I doubt they even play him in preseason. He'll probably just start week 1. And if you have him on your team, you're probably gonna have to just risk it and put him out there and hope that he's healthy and ready to go. All right, the next one here actually is about the Titans receivers, and we had a question in the group here, and I want to just put it on the screen here. We'll talk about the question first, and then we'll get to the actual note. But Nick Westbrook, Ikini getting solid reps in camp. Burks is looking like the wide receiver 3. Not sure how long that lasts, but is it relevant? The note that I had is that Robert Woods should be the Titans' #1 receiver, with actually Austin Hooper supposedly being the #2 option in that passing game, putting Burks at 3 to battle with Nick Westbrook, Ikini. Ryan, I'm gonna go to you here. Is this just camp talk? Or is this like the situation that we had a few years ago with Justin Jefferson and his third string receiver there getting props?
Yeah, I think the Nick Westbrook-Ikini he is who he is. Like, we're not drafting him other than probably best ball in really deep leagues. We're taking the chance with Burks there. The news that Robert Woods is going to be their #1 option, in reality, it makes sense. He's a skilled route runner. He can stretch the field. He's done it before, and I'm sure he can adjust to Tannehill very quickly. Even we've had some struggles with Burks, whether it's conditioning or asthma or whatever. I don't think it affects him long term, but this season, I would be surprised if Robert Woods was their wide receiver 1.
What are you thinking of the part where Austin Hooper is going to be the second target in that offense? Are you buying that?
Dude, I'll believe that when I see it, man. Like, the way that how long have we been hyping up Titans receiver or tight ends, and they haven't done anything since Delaney Walker. Like, that's the last time they do it, and that wasn't with Tannehill. Like, I'm cool, dude. Like, he's worth a tight end flyer, but he's not going to get more targets than Burks. And by the way, Robert Woods' ADP is absurd right now.
Yeah, it's super low.
Like, he's free, and he should be grabbed.
They've just forgotten about him completely.
And he's only a year off an 1,100-yard season. Like, he's a steal.
Agreed. Steven, what are your thoughts here on this news about Robert Woods being #1, Austin Hooper being #2, and then what are your thoughts on Nick Westbrook?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple that Bob Woods would be the #1. I mean, he's the veteran on the team. He's probably the most talented wide receiver at this exact moment on this team here. He should be the #1 wide receiver. As long as he's healthy, he should be a good bargain in drafts right now. That's someone that I think will probably see over 100 targets in this offense, maybe 110, something like that, and should put up a pretty decent season as long as he, regains that form that we saw just a little over a year ago. So in terms of Austin Hooper, I actually just wrote an article with Dynasty Nerds about some deep sleeper tight ends and Austin Hooper. And I get that the last 2 years with Austin Hooper hasn't been really great. Obviously, we've been really, really disappointed after his, rise in Atlanta. But I think he's a more defined tight end than that the Titans have had over the last years. Jonnu Smith, I think he's more of an athletic tight end than in a real, do it all kind of tight end that I would rely on. Austin Hooper can, take those underneath routes there and do something with him and be more of a reliable pass catcher. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's their #2, but I would assume that Treylon Burks will eventually, during the season at some point, get going and be their actual #2 target by the end of the year. With Nick Westbrook-Ikine, again, like Ryan said, he's kind of just a player. Honestly, I mean, he had a couple flashes at points last year with catches, but Treylon Burks is going to eventually get back. I mean, he was dealing with some things early in this mini camp here, and I expect by training camp he should get that #2 role over Nick Westbrook. So,
yeah, we kind of hear it every year, right? We always I think last year it was Jamar Chase with the drop pass.
No, that was 2 years. That was his rookie year.
Yeah,
Jamar Chase drop. I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, Jamar Chase Jefferson was 2 years ago with I can't think who the receiver was, but they're saying that he was ahead of Justin Jefferson.
OC.
Yeah, OC. Yeah. So yeah, it's every year. Every year you see this. Trey Burks is taken, in that first round. He's going to get the opportunity there. So I think that's just a blurb there that we can kind of move on from as dynasty owners. Next one we got is Tyrion Davis-Price from my 49ers, expected to be the #2 there to beat out Jeff Wilson and JaMychal Hasty for the #2 role, which we've seen in the past. The #2 role in the 49ers offense can have value. What are your thoughts on this guy, Ryan? Are you taking a risk on him in any of your leagues?
I don't want to talk about San Francisco running backs anymore. If one's cheap late, I'm taking them. But it said he's beating out Jeff Wilson for the main backup job. Could be Trey Sermon. It could be JaMychal Hasty. It could be anything, man. If he's there in round 14 or something, sure. But I'm not reaching over the moon for him.
What about you, Steven? Any interest in TDP?
Like Ryan said, I would maybe take a flyer on him late in drafts and, hope that maybe something great happens to him. I was surprised even went as high as he did in the draft. And, that running back rotation is just, who knows who's going to really be starting and who's going to be backing up who. But maybe you take a flyer on him at the end of drafts.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that you take a flyer on if you own Elijah Mitchell, just, for the sake that if he is the number 2, then he, if he gets hurt, then TDP is the number 1, I guess. What were you saying, Ryan?
Can you be a fan of a team that has like answers, so we don't have to keep bringing the same team up?
Says the Ravens fan with like 95 receivers drafted in the last couple of drafts, and
but I know who you can count on in fantasy football. Like, we know that it could be anybody. Nothing's right in San Fran. You have questions everywhere. You like Indianapolis, and just let us know. We can start Jonathan Taylor every week.
All right. Last one here. Let's just do Rob Gronkowski comes out and announces his retirement. I don't know if he's going to pull the Tom Brady and come back a few weeks later, but let's just assume he stays retired, Steven. What are you doing with this news as far as the other tight ends that are there, and then any other targets in that offense? What are you doing with those guys in your rankings?
Well, it was just so funny that I also, in this article I was writing, I had Cameron Brate in there as well. I'm not going to go crazy. I know a lot of people on Twitter are hating on the Cameron Brate takes right now. I'm not going to say, oh, he's going to be a tight end 1 or anything like that. But the opportunity does open up if Gronk does say retire there. Cameron Brate knows the offense very well. He's been there for 8 years. He's someone who can get you 5 or 6 touchdowns being the full-time starter this coming season. They have a bunch of rookie tight ends behind them. He definitely has more of that maybe tight end 17, 18 feel with maybe borderline tight end 1 upside. Again, I'm taking it with a grain of salt there. It really just depends on if Chris Godwin's out for extended period of time or whatnot there, honestly. 600 yards last year, I think Pat Frymuth was tight end 13. He had 495 and 7. Cameron Brate could possibly do that. Yeah. And you're getting him probably at the end of your drafts. He might not even be drafted still. He's definitely moving up in my rankings, and there's opportunity for him to have a mini breakout.
Yeah, and with touchdowns is really the key, right? In that offense too, they're going to score a ton of points. If he gets 6-7 touchdowns, he's probably already in that close to tight end 1, fringe tight end 1 category with just the touchdowns alone. Ryan, what are your thoughts here?
The process is right on it. Like, you want somebody who has a chance to score touchdowns, and you want somebody in a high-powered offense. Like, he's there in as high-powered offense as you get in a terrible division in the NFC. Like, him doing well, getting 6-7 touchdowns is believable. It may not be consistent, but you know what? You can plug him in, and you have a good chance of him scoring that week. Which, if you blow your chance at tight end early, you might have to do that Frankenstein thing, and he could be like the Frankenstein leg.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're one of those, especially in redraft leagues, punt tight end, he's a good punt tight end. You could probably
punt tight end.
Yeah, give him super, super cheap, and you get him in that higher powered offense, and you'll get those weeks where he might catch 2 passes, but both of them for touchdowns, which put him in that tight end 1 for that week. So, great call on that. All right, like I mentioned at the top, we're going to do some wide receiver talk tonight. We got a few things planned. First thing first, let's go ahead and get into Breakout.
Breakout or Fakeout?
All right, Breakout or Fakeout. We'll do our breakouts first, and then we'll do our fakeouts. We'll start with you first, Steven. Give me one of your breakout wide receivers for this year.
It's got to be Gabriel Davis off the bat there. I think it's probably a lot of people's one of their breakouts right now, but Gabriel Davis, people had high hopes of him last year, and I think there was a reason why he didn't get that opportunity early on. I think the organization really wanted to keep the veterans floated ahead of Gabriel Davis. I think there was some work that he needed to do during the season there to really get him to that next level. And now that Sanders and Cole Beasley are gone, you bring in Jameson Crowder at his age now. He's kind of just a guy. You bring in, a Shakir, the rookie, and again, he's going to need time to develop. Davis is in a perfect situation to probably see, high-end wide receiver 2 numbers in this offense here. We saw his upside, his potential through the playoffs last year. Even his rookie year, he showed big flashes of big playability downfield, big red zone threat. And, with Josh Allen at quarterback, this team is going to score a lot of points, especially in this division here on the AFC East. And I expect Gabriel Davis to take a major step up in production this year and be someone. I think he's still going pretty late in drafts. I mean, I'm seeing him go still in like round 8, round 9, and he can end up finishing as, top 20 receiver pretty easily, I think, this season.
Yeah, it's crazy on Gabe Davis because he that playoff game, he peaked, right? If you had dynasty value, you were trying to sell him at that point. But then it's almost like all of the talking heads, including us, were like, sell, because he's not going to be that receiver. And now it's almost gone to the point where now he's a value. He's gone the other direction now where you can get him late in drafts. And he's still going to be the number 2 receiver in that offense, most likely. And that's a pretty good position to be in that powerful offense. So I saw Gabe Davis on my list too. I was gonna pull him, but I figured he was a low hanging fruit, and one of y'all might grab him. But I think Davis is definitely primed for a breakout. Ryan, what you got for your breakout?
Oh, I was gonna skip right to my fake out because I had Gabe Davis as a fake out.
Oh, spicy.
I'm sorry, I gotta mess it up a little bit.
Go ahead.
Like the way we saw the Bills offense, I really like the player, but like Stephon Diggs is going to get us 160 targets. Dawson Knox was an improved part of the offense. Yes, we saw Cole Beasley get that, but it's going to be split between Crowder and Isaiah McKenzie, and they're going to get James Cook in there. They spread the ball around so well. They had 1, 2, 3, 4. They had 6 guys with 50-plus targets. Like Josh Allen's check goes, look for Stephon Diggs. If he's wide the F open or even slightly open, we're going to sling it to him. If he's not, whoever's open or I'm running. Like I think he could finish as a wide receiver too, but the way he's going to do it is going to drive you bonkers. It's just going to be a game with 132, followed by a game with 2 targets, 13 yards, and no touchdowns. Like, I think it's just going to be a roller coaster, and I'm just not on board for that. Like, if we're getting that 9th round ADP, that's fine, but I think we're still a little bit high.
Fair point. I like it. A little bit of a difference of opinion there. All right, so one of my breakouts, I got Jacoby Myers for the Patriots. Last year had 126 targets, caught 83 for 86 and 2 touchdowns, and that's the 2 touchdowns that's really kind of holding him back from being in that conversation as a good receiver. But he had a top 12 target share of all receivers in the NFL. He ran a route on 90% of the dropback for the Patriots, which is the 6th highest in the league. And now they got Traquan Thornton there to kind of open things up a little bit, take the safety off the top. And I think the Patriots have been talking about opening the offense a little bit more for Mac Jones as well. So I think Myers, you give him that stat line, maybe a little bit more yardage, and even just 3 or 4 more touchdowns, he's already in that receiver 2 category. So Jacoby Myers is my breakout receiver here. Want to do one more breakout, or you want to do fake out, Steven?
We can do another breakout. I'm good for it.
All right, let's go ahead and give us your next breakout.
Yeah, my next guy here is Michael Pittman Jr. I'm expecting a big breakout from Michael Pittman Jr. this coming season. Now, he showed somewhat of a mini breakout last year. He definitely improved from his rookie season here. But personally, I believe he got an upgrade at quarterback, and it might not be the arm strength, because I think Carson Wentz does have a stronger arm than Matt Ryan at this point of his career, but he's got a quarterback who with a high IQ here in Matt Ryan, someone who's very accurate with the football here, someone who, when he has time now, can make really great throws in this offense here. And they didn't really get anyone to really threaten from him having probably 130 targets plus this season. I think the addition of Alec Pierce, the wide receiver, if anything, helps having a guy who can stretch the field downfield, allowing Pittman to kind of do his work over the middle very easily. And I'm doing play action with the run game. I'm expecting Pittman to take a major step that we're talking about him as like a top 15 possible wide receiver this season. Might be a little high, but the possibility, I think, is there for him.
I agree 100%. I think Michael Pittman is definitely in the cards. Everyone's talking about Alec Pierce and how he's going to be the number 2 receiver there, and he might take away Michael Pittman, but I'm not buying it. I think Michael Pittman is clearly the number 1 option in that offense, and besides JT obviously as a running back, but in the passing game he's definitely the number 1 option, and I think that Pittman is primed for a big breakout. All right, Ryan, give us one of your breakouts. You haven't given us one yet.
Yeah, I will say Michael Pittman was one of my breakouts, so I did agree on that one.
Right.
I'm going Michael Gallup. We're hitting that 4th year, and he's moving to the number 2 option in that offense now, like officially with Amari Cooper done. He's been there, but it's been a little questionable. But we're seeing a guy has 1,000 yards or 1,100 yard season under his belt. He's now moving up the depth chart. We're never going to see double coverage with CeeDee Lamb across from him on a team that wants to throw the ball. Hopefully, we have a healthy back this year. In an offense like that, with his skill set and his prowess in the red zone, which we've seen high touchdown numbers, he's a guy who can hop in that wide receiver 2 area and for a little bit higher sometimes. And he's very cheap right now.
Yeah. That's a good call. I like that one.
That fourth year, we're like, oh, he's old now. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's redraft season now.
Yeah, and I think
that Breakout
scared off by the injury too. They don't want to risk it with the injury, but I think he'll be fine.
I mean, he's still in 8-9 games had almost 700 yards. He's good, and now, like I said, it's just 2 guys now.
Yep.
Don't forget Jalen Tolbert. Come on.
Come
on.
I love Dalton Schultz, by the way, but everything's there for him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, so my last breakout here. I thought y'all might steal my thunder when we talked about Gronk's retirement, but Russell Gage is my other breakout. I think Gronk's retirement opens up that middle of the field for Russell Gage to work. We heard the story that Tom Brady personally recruited Russell Gage, and they passed the ball the most last year, and he'd be the number 2 option in that passing game, at least to start the season, with Godwin likely on the pup. And Brady, like I said, personally recruits him. He's going to want to show that he can be successful. If he, brought you to the team, he's going to want you to catch the ball. So I think as long as Gage can stay healthy all season, there's no reason he can't finish in the top 24 easy in that offense. Kind of like we talked about with Gabe Davis and a powerful offense. Those targets in that offense are a little bit more condensed than they are in Buffalo. So I do think Russell Gage can get a ton of usage, even if he goes back to the receiver 3 when Godwin gets back. I do think Russell Gage still has some good value in that offense. All right, let's do breakout, Steven. Fake out, Steven. Who you got for your fake out?
This one was a little harder because I do like a lot of the guys, but for those out there who believe the Rondale Moore breakout season is coming in year 2, that's my fake out. Honestly, I just don't think his size as a wide receiver in general just turns me off of him being an actual physical wide receiver in this NFL league. Honestly, they go out there and get Hollywood Brown. They bring back AJ Green. They bring in Darrell Williams, which I think will have a big role in that passing game, to be honest there. And I just, what I saw from them late last season, if he's such a talented weapon, why not use him more trying to get your team to the playoffs? He kind of just faded as the season went on. Granted, it's his rookie season. He probably needed more time. I get it. But, I just wasn't that high on him overall coming out of college. And he has to really go early on in the season to have that breakout. And if he doesn't do it and DeAndre Hopkins comes back, it's just never going to happen. I appreciate that. It's just never going to happen. I just think that if people do try to go out their way to get him higher in drafts, I think it's just going to be a mistake at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've been a very well-known Rondale Moore hater from day one. I actually wrote a whole article last year on why I didn't like Rondale Moore. So him being a fake out would make me happy. Ryan, what do you got for you? I guess we'll go with you want a fake out or a breakout? You already gave us one of your fake outs.
I'll go fake out because I feel like this is big for the switch over for moving Dynasty to redraft. And it's Chris Olave. I love him in Dynasty. I love the player. This year, I don't love it. He's going to be 4th in targets on that offense. In all reality, if Michael Thomas comes back, he's going to eat up his share. Who knows? He might not want to play at Jameis for all we know. But he should be back. Jarvis Landry is a veteran presence who he's going to trust and going to have more targets. And Alvin Kamara is going to do Alvin Kamara things with his 92 targets he gets a year, like clockwork. So that's leaving table scraps for Chris Olave, essentially a deep threat. And we saw Jameis with a little bit of a connection with Marquez Callaway, which is gross as it sounds, probably going to show up a few times and screw some Chris Olave deep balls. I think we're too early on it. And I think it's going to cause some disappointment this year for the redraft.
Yeah, I'm with you on this year. I think he is definitely a fake out. People love the rookies and they love drafting him. Even in redraft leagues, they'll go higher than they probably should. But I don't like you. I like Olave in Dynasty. I think he's definitely someone that I want to go out and get in Dynasty. But for this year, if we're doing redraft, I think I'm going to be passing on Olave. All right, let's do one more fake out. Steven, you got another fake out there or no?
I'm kind of like torn on this one, but Rashad Bateman. I know everyone's loving Rashad Bateman now that Hollywood Brown's gone. I get it. A lot of people loved him coming out of college. I was not one of those people. I got ripped one time for it. It was fun. But you're going to an offense that I think wants to get back to the run. As long as J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are back and somewhat healthy, and Lamar Jackson's running the ball again, and I expect them to kind of lean towards that a little bit. Now, he is their wide receiver one, so it makes sense that he should be in line for a big breakout season. But again, this team still runs through Mark Andrews. They bring in more tight ends to really solidify that run game there. And I think some of these other wide receivers that are mentioned in the chat here, actually, in Duvernay and Porsche, will have a bigger role in this offense than more people think. I think the way that they're used in the offense could probably towards more of what Hollywood Brown was able to do when he was there. And I think there's potential for him, but I think people are going to eventually draft him way too high.
Ryan, you agree with that take? Just because I know you're the Ravens fan here.
Did you see my screen go black immediately?
I know. I figured that was why.
Listen, I feel like his ADP is appropriate now. I think he'd be wide receiver 2 this year. Those other guys are going to have an impact, but Hollywood Brown was wide receiver 6 when he was the top receiver last year before Lamar got hurt. Like, he was balling out, and I know their game's a little bit different, but we still have elite speed with Bateman, good catch radius, and skilled route runner. So it's there, and they drafted him knowing that Hollywood Brown was leaving. Like, he said after the 2019 season he wanted out, and that's what they drafted Bateman in 2020. So it makes sense why they took him and trusted him, and by them not really pursuing anybody that heavily or overpaying or drafting, it means they believe in what they have. So I have some upside there for those reasons.
Nice. I think I picked the wrong segment for this. We should have done our devil's advocate segment where we have y'all argue with each other, because y'all now argued about Gabe Davis and Rashad Bateman. We should have just done devil's advocate. That would have been perfect. All right, Ryan, give me either one, breakout or fake out, whatever one you want to give us, since you kind of jumped out of order.
I'm going to go with a breakout because I don't want to talk about my fake out again. I feel like I've done it too much. My breakout is Kadarius Toney.
Ooh.
I know we've had these like weird news things with him where it's like they wanted to trade him and all that. I'm not really buying it because before he got hurt last year and when he was starting to get going, we saw back-to-back games with 9 targets and 13 targets, a 78, 189-yard game. And he does a lot what they need to happen in that Giants offense. Like, they need that underneath target. They need somebody who can run after the catch. And that's what he does. They have they have Kenny Golladay and 18 slot receivers on that team. He's the only one who's versatile, who they can move around the field, use in different ways. And I think they're going to find ways to force feed him the ball because of the kind of athlete he is with it in his hands. Because really, it's Saquon, and that's it.
And that's it.
And hopefully Saquon back helps that passing game a little bit. And Danny Dimes isn't just force feeding. Like, he has to throw to somebody. Yeah. And that's his best shot. Yeah. The draft capital doesn't lie. Yeah. And I don't care what that is. I understand his whole went skyrocketed and immediately died because he got hurt. Like, it doesn't make sense. Why are we going off it? I'm not willing to take that chance again.
All right, fair point. All right, let's go ahead and get into our next segment.
You are on the clock.
All right, this is a new segment for us. Basically, it's pretty simple. I'm going to give you 3 guys from the same position that are very similar ADP. And since it's receivers tonight, we're going to do all receivers. And you're going to tell me which one you would choose if you were on the clock, pick them over the other 2. Stephen, we'll go to you first. And the 3 receivers, Vontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, and Deebo Samuel. Let me just preface it by saying redraft league, so just for this season.
Ooh. Well, in my rankings, I still have Devontae Adams as a wide receiver 4. So I'm going to follow my rankings here and still pick Devontae Adams. CeeDee Lamb is definitely interesting. I really thought about when I was looking at the doc, I really thought maybe CeeDee Lamb, but I'm going to stick to Devontae Adams. I mean, Deebo Samuels for me is just out. I just don't know if their same production is going to happen when they switch to Trey Lance this season, whenever that may be. But for me, Devontae Adams is just a dominant type of wide receiver that I think that connection that he had with Carr back in the day, long so ago, I think will somehow come back to some extent there. And he's going to target him very quick and often. I mean, they did pay him to be their wide receiver 1 and probably one of the highest wide receiver in this league here. And I expect them to continue, like Carr, to throw the ball to Devontae Adams as much as possible. And again, I still expect them to have like 130 targets this season, 120, whatever. CeeDee Lamb's, I think, a close second. Honestly, I would be pretty torn. I think you could go either direction, but I'm going to give the knock to Adams just because this division is probably going to be in a lot of shootouts. Well,
yeah,
the NFC East won't be in a lot of shootouts.
Fair point. Yeah, that's a good point. You got him at number 4 overall. Wow, that's pretty high.
Well, with wide receivers.
Wide receiver. That's what I meant.
Wide receivers. Sorry, yeah, with wide receivers.
Yeah, number 4 wide receiver. That's still pretty high. It's a high ranking there. I think a lot of people have dropped him down to the lower half of that top 12 there, and I think that's where I have him. I have him like 8 or 9, I think, currently. All right, Ryan, you're up next, and you have Mike Williams, the aforementioned Michael Pittman, and Jalen Waddle. Who are you taking here?
Michael Pittman. If this was maybe 3 months ago, it might be different and say Waddle because I love Waddle style. But I'm target chasing on this, and I am touchdown chasing on this. He had almost 130 targets last year, one shy of that. As you mentioned before, Pierce opens it up. Like last time, it's decrepit T.Y. Hilton and Pittman. You know who teams are going to go after, and it didn't matter. And he balled out last year. This year, he has Pierce across another big body guy. That helps. The offense has got a better quarterback in Matt Ryan, and he's shown a tendency to go to that type of receiver. So it's him. If Waddle didn't have Tyreek Hill next to him, it'd be maybe different. But man, Pittman's good.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think I'd go Pittman as well. One of my fakeouts that we didn't get to was Mike Williams. I'm not a big Mike Williams fan. I think we've seen, the stint he had last year was sort of the outlier to me. I think that he doesn't do that ever again. I think he had those 5 or 6 games that were just monster games, and I think
he touched the ceiling.
Yeah, he touched the ceiling. He's coming back down now. I think he's more of that middling, low end wide receiver 2 territory, not a wide receiver 1 that he was last year at least. All right, Steven, we'll go back to you here. And I got 3 receivers here listed, but after your fake out, it's really down to probably 2 guys. But it's Allen Robinson, DK Metcalf, and Rashad Bateman, who you've already said you didn't really like too much.
Yeah, so I'll throw out Rashad Bateman now. Sorry, Ryan. So it really comes down to, I think, safety, and I think in Metcalf, and the possible upside in Allen Robinson and the Rams offense that he's a part of now. Now, he's a little bit older, but it does sound enticing, but I think I'm going to still give it to DK Metcalf if I'm sitting in this range here. And the real reason is I do believe that if it's not Baker, it's going to be Geno Smith playing this year for the Seattle Seahawks. And to be honest, in 4 games that Geno played, 3 games – DK Metcalf was a wide receiver 1. He had 5 wide receiver 1 games, 3 of them with Geno Smith. And I'm not saying that's going to be an every week thing or anything like that, but he should see 120 targets in this offense, a team that, yes, they want to run, but they're going to have to throw the ball because they're going to be behind in a lot of games. And all Geno Smith really has to do is just throw it up to DK Metcalf, and he's going to come down with the ball more times than not. And again, it was really close to that Robinson, but if they do bring back Odell Beckham at some point during the season, which is a possibility they do, that could really just cut in the value of Allen Robinson overall. So I'm going to give it to DK because his targets are going to be there, I think, no matter what at the end of the day.
Yeah,
good receivers can produce bad quarterbacks. We've seen it every year. I don't know why we get scared.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. It's a good stat that people probably don't even know about with the 3 wide receiver 1 games with Geno Smith. People say Geno Smith, go, oh, then we must downgrade all the receivers there. But if they're just throwing the ball a ton because they're down and losing, and those targets are going to those receivers, I don't care how Beck is. As long as the receiver's getting his 10, 12 targets, I'm okay with that. So yeah, I think I'd probably go Allen Robinson because I got an Allen Robinson love affair, but I can definitely see that side with DK Metcalf as well. All right, Ryan, wrap it up with this last one here. And it just kind of figured that these guys were all rookies last year, and they were all kind of in the same ADP range. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Moore, and Devonta Smith. Who are you taking out of those three for this season?
I think Devonta Smith. I was really close to him and Amon-Ra. Like, I think Amon-Ra is still going to get the majority of the targets, but that offense got a little better. I don't know if he'll be forced fed as much. Devonta Smith doesn't need 140 targets, 120 targets with his skill set to be good. Like, he is an elite deep threat. He has game breaking potential. So if he gets 110 targets in that offense, even 90, high 90s, like, you can get a wide receiver 2 season out of it because his big playability. It could be like a Tyler Lockett type production, but I'm okay with that at some point. And I think we've overreacted a little bit to AJ Brown because he's going to take a lot of coverage away.
Mr. Scamper is talking about Geno Smith, hoping that he wins the job because he thinks he can support pass catchers better than Locke can.
I mean, he ain't wrong. I mean, I hope it's Baker, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. So you're going Devonta Smith. I think that's the way I would have gone too. I think people are a little afraid of AJ Brown taking away his targets, but like you mentioned, Devonta Smith he can be a good receiver without a lot of targets. He's just one of those kind of guys. All right, are you tired of vague, misleading injury reports costing you games? Well, Going for Two's own injury analyst, Dr. James Ferretti, wants to help. With his book, Injuries Suck, But Your Team Doesn't Have to, the doc will show you a clear approach to player injuries, media reports, and coach speak, as well as how to anticipate and act quickly when injuries strike. Available for purchase on Amazon or use the link in his Twitter profile at TFSDoc. Stop guessing, start winning.
And now it's Fact or Cap.
All right, Fact or Cap. We've done this a couple weeks in a row now, so y'all kind of know. I know I'm the old guy here, and Fact or Cap is sort of for the young kids, but Cap means that it's false. So, Fact or Cap, this is a receiver edition, so we'll do all receivers here. Steven, we'll go to you first. This one's a pretty simple one. Fact or Cap, Cooper Kupp will repeat as the number one overall receiver next year.
I'm going to say fact. And the reason is I feel like there's about a handful of wide receivers that could be wide receiver 1. I don't think Jamar Chase, with all the targets that are sitting there in Cincinnati, will get him to wide receiver 1. He's going to be a top 5 probably wide receiver. I just don't think he's going to be the wide receiver 1. Justin Jefferson has probably the best chance to do it outside of Cooper Kupp. But he does have Adam Thielen coming back in the offense at some point. And Justin Jefferson really went off when Adam Thielen got hurt. And again, that could happen again. But I think Cooper Kupp's situation didn't change. He just got another wide receiver through Bob Woods, through Odell, now Allen Robinson, that will get their share of work, obviously, in this offense here. He might not see, a career-breaking year once again. That might never happen for him ever again, but him still getting the wide receiver 1 season with maybe 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns is very likely still. So I think there's a very high probability that Cooper Kupp does finish as the wide receiver 1 once again.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, actually. I had an argument on Twitter with the guy. He's talking about regression and how Cooper Kupp would never repeat what he did last year. I mean, he doesn't have to. He can have regression and still be the number 1 receiver because he was so far much better than everybody else last year. So I think regression can come and still be number 1. Ryan, I want your thoughts real quick on that as well. What are your thoughts on Cooper Kupp being number 1?
I mean, I don't hate it. Like, he did it, and he did it off of volume. He did everything. Like, he checked every single box. It's a safe bet. Will it happen? Maybe not. But I'd be one to, like, if I had to pick somebody, it'd probably be him.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. Jefferson's my next choice.
Yep.
But his makes no sense.
Yep. No, I definitely agree. All right, Ryan, Fact or Cap. There will be at least 3 rookie wide receivers to finish in the top 24 in 2022. There were 3 last year. Chase, Waddle, and St. Brown all made it in the top 24. So we talked about this rookie class being good on receivers. What are your thoughts here? 3 in the top 24. Fact or Cap?
I'm just going to say Cap. I mean, it's not even anything against this receiving group. It's a couple came in with injuries or deficiencies where they can't start right away. Situations aren't all the best. And wide receiver is the most stacked position in fantasy football. Like Keenan Allen's in that like 25 range right now, which makes no sense. There's a lot of really good guys to pass up. And I don't know how 3 people find their way into it. If I bet it's Garrett Wilson and Drake London, but I don't know who the third would be.
Yeah, and you've already said you weren't high on Chris Olave this year, so he'd be another candidate to make it. Trey Burks, I don't think he's going to get there.
I don't think Jameson Williams is going to miss 6 games. Well,
6 games, yep.
Jahan Dotson maybe if McLaurin leaves. And Burks, I don't have the faith there because I don't know if he'll get the volume. Like, it's really hard to find the narrative.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, Steve. Depending on scoring, Mike Williams finished close to wide receiver 12, basically a bottom end wide receiver 1. By far his highest finish factor cap. Will he repeat as a receiver 1 in 2022?
For this one, I'm going to say cap. For me, Mike Williams, I think we saw the best we could probably see out of Mike Williams overall. For me, the way it is just that his injury history scares the heck out of me. And you saw like late in the season when he gets dinged up, he kind of doesn't play. He isn't fully healthy ever at that point.
Yeah.
And, you know, the offense is intriguing. It's Justin Herbert and everything there, and it's supposed to be somewhat high power. But, you know, Keenan Allen's going to get his. I think that the run game is going to be used more with Spiller and Austin Eckler back there in the backfield. And I think Josh Palmer takes a step in his development. Jalen Guyton also gets his work in the offense. I think Gerald Everett is a underrated tight end that could see a lot of work in this offense. He's much younger than they had last year with Jared Goff. Donald Farham also, if he can kind of take a step in a direction I'd love for him to take. I just don't see Mike Williams doing it again. There might be a stretch of the season where he's really good, but I just don't see the production lasting for an entire season to be wide receiver 1 again.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. And you said Jared Goff, but you meant Jared Cook, of course, right?
Jared Cook, yeah. Jared Cook, thank you.
Good. All right, Ryan, last one here. And you kind of already alluded to this a little bit when we did the on the clock here, but both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle will finish the season as top 15 receivers in 2022. They were 6 and 13 last year.
No, I don't think so. Like, I like both receivers. I think they both have a lot of talent. But we saw Jalen Waddle get 142 targets last year, and it wasn't the most efficient because they're not really taking deep shots down the field. That 142 targets isn't going to be there at the addition of Hill. And unless he turns his efficiency up to 100, I don't see where that's happening. And kind of like alluded with the rookies, dude, wide receivers stacked. I don't know how they slide in there unless there's a like injury apocalypse. So I'm going to say cap on that.
All right, good stuff. Let me ask you this too. I'll just put you on the spot a little bit. What do you think is more likely of these two scenarios? That one of them finishes in the top 5 with the other one finishing like in the 22, 23 range? Or do they both finish like receiver 13, 14, like right there at sort of like, which we think is more likely? One of them has a great season and the other one has an okay season, or they're both just kind of in the middle?
I think they can both be in that wide receiver 2 range together more.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 1's hard, or the top 5's hard to crack without, like, I like Tua's more than probably most people. I think he's a good quarterback, but without an elite target QB there, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's not going to be a very high scoring offense. At least we don't think so. So I think you have
like,
to have
how are they going to pass Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, like CeeDee Lamb? Like, who's going to be the odd man out? Debo? Like, there's a lot to pass there.
That's true.
Stephon Diggs, like, it's a struggle to get in that top 5. And Tyreek Hill doesn't have Patrick Mahomes anymore. Like, It's hard.
Agreed. All right, let's finish this up.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Steven, you have the floor. Give us your Forgotten Fantasy Player this week.
Yeah, I thought this one was a lot of fun. I thought about this one a lot there. I wanted to go a couple different direction, but I decided to keep it to a home favorite of mine, the Dolphins here, and I went with Ronnie Brown back in the day. If you guys remember Ronnie Brown, he was a first-round pick running back, top 5 option overall, and he didn't start off great, but there was a stretch in like a 2-year career, and especially in fantasy, where he just was a fantastic running back, bringing out the Wildcat offense here. And I always try to at least grab one Dolphins player in most of my drafts there, wherever it may be, beginning or end, and I always made sure that Ronnie Brown was there because I loved him as a talent coming out, and he was good through an early portion of his career. At some point, he had a split time with another favorite of mine, Ricky Williams, but that one season when the Wildcat came out, it was just he just couldn't be stopped, and it was a lot of fun to have him in fantasy at that time.
Yeah,
two overall.
Oh yeah,
What?
2 overall, yeah.
2 overall in the draft. Running backs don't matter. Crowd's head exploded. Yo, didn't we have Cadillac Williams on here? His old college teammate, like a month or two ago.
Yep, we did.
And
Yeah, Ronnie Brown's a good one. I don't think we've had Ronnie Brown yet. That's
I said we had Cadillac Williams recently, but not Ronnie Brown. I love that
Ronnie
one.
Brown. Good stuff. All right, that wraps the podcast up. Let's go around the room real quick. Give us your Twitter handle one more time, and if you want to plug anything, we'll go to you first, Steven.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys letting me come on. This was a ton of fun. As always, guys, if you could ever check out our website at www.thefantasycoaches.com, I'd really appreciate it. We got a lot of cool things going over there, articles, rankings, podcasts, a lot of statistical analysis I have up there now. And if you just give us a follow over on Twitter at Coaches Fantasy, I'd appreciate it.
Good stuff. Brian, what you got going on?
Find me Twitter, Foss534. Find me here every Wednesday night. Find me over at the Dynasty Big Board. We're doing our projection series now, so we're projecting out all 32 teams, doing 2 teams twice a week. So put out 2 episodes a week now with full projections of teams. It's a lot of fun. We just did the AFC West this week, and it's fun to dive through. Definitely check it out.
Good stuff. All right, guys, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I wanted to plug our Discord. Right now it's the Scott Fishbowl season, and we have a Scott Fishbowl community. We have a private chat for literally every draft spot and a main chat where everybody can kind of talk and compare notes. We're also doing a live show on the Discord this Sunday. We're going to do a speed mock draft with 12 analysts. We'll be given 30-second clocks. We're going to do a quick speed mock draft. We'll pause it every 3 or 4 rounds to talk about it. So you can go to my Twitter handle at JeffLambert77, and you can find it pinned to the top there, our Discord. Jump in there. And if you're not in the Scott Fishbowl, go ahead and get there anyway. We got 400 total members so far. We got some other stuff in there too, just regular fantasy stuff. We got daily fantasy stuff. We got a little bit of everything. So just jump in the Discord, guys. All right, for Steven, for Ryan, I'm Jeff. We'll see y'all next week.